Hello everyone, how are you today? Are you good? Mm, Now, I will give an explanation about the book, the Homo Deus book, which is the X-Men of the English history course. So, I will speak full English in this video. Before I go into the explanation, let me introduce myself. My name is Yona Vendelia Huta Barat from Class A History Education 2021 in University of Medan. First step, I will explanation about the overview of this book. Homo Deus is a title from Yuval Harari set of reflection on the human condition, its direction, and how direction and the existential of human have important existential meaning for the world. The title draws inspiration from the classification of human currently as Homo sapiens, with the idea that our sapiens or knowledge allows us to achieve advancement in our own development, leading to our obtaining of godlike power. Of course, such a futuristic idea is interesting in itself as a result of its ambitions to advance a plausible argument that humans have the potential for incredible abilities that will allow them to fulfill themselves, achieve happiness, access immortality, and eventually grasp divinity, justifying the title Homo Deus. Deus, being Latin, is meaning from God or deity. In the book, Harari argument provide readers with the interesting food for thought, like the idea that the dominance of the human race impact the evolutionary success of sapiens current to a human daily life, using the statistic that house cats outnumber lions by a few orders or magnitude as a starting point for that. The first chapter of the Homo Deus book, titled The New Human Agenda, serves more as an introductory chapter that lists some of the challenges and accomplishments that human beings have been expressing over the course of time. In this chapter, Harari discusses the past and the future, more specifically with regard to what may be experienced in the third millennium. The author discusses the challenges that have faced people in the older period, such as epidemic, starvation, and violence. In the third millennium, humanity has managed to reign in famine, plague, and war. These human beings of the future are like to deal with the problem they are currently a major headache for us. Harari also discusses that human beings of the future are likely to be more proactive in dealing with the challenges they face. For instance, where they happen to experience a case of famine, they are less likely to leave it to fate, but rather they will deem it as a misgiving and never allow it to happen. The author said that when faced with such failures, we no longer shrug our shoulders. In other words, they are key to identify the specific strategy to handle the failure they encounter. They believe that they have allowed within their power to handle the different problems they face. Hence, human beings will be more interested in setting up a commission of inquiry to determine the reason for the problem and make enough strides to handle it. Definitely, this strategy will also aim to prevent such a scenario from ever happening again. The author also discusses in this chapter, with its passing year, human beings have become increasingly alarmed by the epidemic being faced with some of these including SARS, Ebola, swine flu, and the Black Death. Despite the challenges, human beings have managed to overcome this strong time, where they now have a lesser impact than during their initial inception. Therefore, the situation indicates the human beings of the future are likely to be even more sophisticated and accountable dealing with the failure healthy problem they face us today. In just the same way smallpox had been a completely eradicated, human beings of the future are not likely to completely eradicate the various diseases they will face. In chapter 2, the author presents the view that human beings have evolved to attention character that are far better compared to those of animals. Specifically, he notes that human beings have since become gods, in spite of the position they have done little to rightly the mercy and justice that is normally attributed to God. Rather, they have continued with their heinous actions that have led to a significant decline in the number of animals, especially the one that belong in the will. Human beings choose which animals to live or be killed. Thus will are they are sorry. Thus will there are only less than 100 wolves in Germany today. The country is home to more than 5 million domestic dogs. The chapter also show the well the world is left with only 14 lions. Oh no, it's much. 40,000 lions. There are around 600 million domestic cats. According to Harari, it's even done that the anthropogenics has altered the world unprecedented ways. The effect is frequently seen in the climate change, a situation that has altered the distribution of the various animals in the world, some of them reducing in number. The chapter outlines how the reason of the agricultural and industrial revolution may have had a major impact on the relationship that exists between animals and human beings. During the time the world was now a one-man show, human beings have continuously reiterated the view that is increased food need have necessitated the seeking of more land, which means that the habit of wild animals will be potentially destroyed, leading to a major decline in their number. The number of a domestic animal, some of which were kept for food purposes, have also increased considerably for the sole benefit of the human being. The author is also keen to put across the fact that change created by the agricultural revolution development a major parallel between the animals now domestic cat and the ones that are, are there are still in the wheel. For instance, will bird remain in the wheel region for food and water will exposed to possibly attacks by lion, pigs, rather by human beings are kept safe protected against predator and natural disaster. In this chapter 3, the author noticed that Homo sapiens is the most powerful sapiens in the world. He also indicated that Homo sapiens have held the view that they hold a much better moral authority in the world over other animals such as a wolf, elephant, and pigs. Thus, they have the power to exert some level of authority against them. In a way, this shows how humans may choose the agent in any action they wish for is such as much as the first animal are concurrent. He also indicates that the view of importance has transcended in the relationship that human beings have with animals. Harari also declares that only human sapiens have a conscious mind. Darby being able to think much better and show concern for others. The author also goes on indication in a distance different among human beings from various geographical locations. For instance, there is a general belief held by Americans that they are more valuable compared to tools from other countries, such as the Afghanistan. As the result, they have the chance to agent in any form of action that they maybe be willing as a way of assuming the fair position they hold around the world, as well as the form of respect they believe they deserve. He asserts that there are conflict between different human groups, which reduces their ability to interact better. It also reduces their ability to cooperate and to deal with the notable challenges they experience. The author goes on the author goes to demonstrate how, in spite of the views held by humans, being other creatures are just as a complication as they are. For instance, even unicellular organisms have very little organelles that, according them, the ability to distinguish light from darkness, yet in the same characteristics shared by the age of human beings. Thus, all organisms in the world do share various forms of complexities that shall not be avoided, and more measures need to be put in place to ensure that all creators and human beings are considered to be as equally important of the great influence towards the survival of the one others. In chapter 4, Harari discusses the contrast that exists between animals and the Homo sapiens. For instance, they indicate that animals such as chimpanzees and wildlife live in a dual reality, as and are they full aware of the various objects in their environment. Some of the objects that arouse animals include rocks, trees, and rivers. At the same time, they are aware of the effect of such objects in their life as in relation to making them fearfully help happy and full of desire. In the contrast of it, in contrast, life in a three-layer reality. Thus, in the addiction to knowing tree, river, and rocks, Homo sapiens also have information regarding money, corporation, nation, and gods, making them great more toward identifying how the special element present are like to have an impact. Some of the notable corporations know that to the Homo sapiens include Google and Microsoft. As it relates to God, some of group of Homo sapiens appear by following followers of Jesus and his teachings and are referred to as Christians. They hold the perception that through the measure they are likely to attain some level of contentment in their life while identifying the specific step to take in attending worldwide recognition, which will be important for them. This also likely pushes Homo sapiens towards identifying the specific moral action that they are like to stick to the inward, while also determine the level of liberties that they are likely to have. Harry prophesies that the cats did exist anywhere except in the human imagination, and aim to show that the achievements made by human beings are mostly their own doing and not of any mystical powers. In chapter 5, highlight the role of stories among human social ties. The author notes that the stories dominate of the reality, thus easily variable and finding a stability within. He suggests that stories regarding corporation, nation, and God have taken center stage around the world and have played an important role among human beings, thereby winning the perception and the global from the relationship they need to have with one another. Harari states that myths continue to dominate humankind. There are beliefs that people have regarding the Father's concept around their life was a major determinant of the action they undertook. For instance, they believe in the Bible, the method of heaven, or the great good or the great God of Sobek pushed people towards developing Carthage Cathedral and the Great Wall of China and Lake Fayum. It's also the belief in a religion that show that humans are subject to a system of moral laws that we did not even and that we cannot change. Thus, humans are guided by a much higher power that determines the kind of belief and perception they need to uphold regarding life. In chapter 6, this chapter, Harari aims to show the modernity is the way of life and defines two kind experience that people are likely to have the various phases that they have to go through. It also determines the concept that touch on the element human progress that people normally have the great general effect such a move like is likely to have upon their life. Despite the various views on the modernity, one of the Latin concept is based on the interaction they have with one another. Modernity also set limits on the change that people may seek to adopt as the advance in their lives. The author also shows that there has been a change in the effect of the cosmic realm from the life of human beings, where he states that Up until modern times, most cultures believed that humans play a part in some great cosmic plan. In modern times, people have had a reduced belief in cosmic compatibilities. Harari also noted that the trend over the years have determined the perception people have held regarding certain global events. For instance, he noted that the lumberjack, blacksmith, and baker are unlikely to agree, given the varying level of the dimension they hold in the world. They are likely referencing different ideas but about their belief toward fight, like how their need to survival and to feed their families has had a great impact on the title belief the regarding miracle and myth. Chapter 7 oh no Chapter 7 This chapter provides that one of the elements that account human power is the ability to think through various life processes without the necessary relying on the great cosmic plane the given meaning to life. It's also stated that in the current time human beings appear to possess a lot more power than before. For instance, the author suggests that the life of a human being has transcended the idea that little reference to God would lead to some level of disorder in the world and lead to a social collapse. The author given a comparison between Syria and the Netherlands. He stated while the Netherlands is majority an atheist society, it is the far more peaceful as compared for God-fearing Syria. The illustration therefore aimed to showcase the idea that human beings have developed to the level at which they are more capable of looking into specific ways in which they can attain order without necessarily paying close attention to cosmic strength. It also shows that human beings can manage themselves better without necessarily being exposed to external supervision. Chapter 8 states that the world is currently dominated by the liberal elements of human rights, individualism, and the free market and democracy. However, the scientific advancement of the same era have had a huge impact of the foundations made towards establishing a liberal order in the outer world. It shows that human beings are more concerned with the beings liberal. The author noted that people are of course influenced by external forces and checks even. They seek to establish the different ways in which they can attach themselves for a recognition that should make other people more interested in identifying the specific way in which they are likely to be valued. The stroke, the presentation of Thomas Jefferson, Rousseau, and Locke, there is a sea of checks where the findings of science have important to grasp for people to seek from liberty. Chapter 9. In the chapter, the author revisits the view of human beings believe they are unique and hold a valuable position in the relation to animals. Harari, however, shows there are three practical developments that are likely to make belief also. One of them is how the technological development will make humans economically and militarily useless. Technological developments are thus more focus on making human beings more sophisticated and the expense of improving their economy, capability, and feeling of state safety and security. Additionally, Harari stipulates that more technological advancement imply that there is a high likelihood for human beings to find attaining to level of economic and military usefulness that may be a requirement of them. As technologies continue for the future advance, human beings are prone to lose two vital characteristics, with this being intelligence and consciousness. Chapter 10 describes how the new religions will they be developed in the future. However, there is a deep relationship between these new religions and the fields of science. Created such a new religions are likely to come from research laboratories as opposed to the mantras of the Middle Ages of the canvas of Afghanistan. People are likely to see a lot of hope through the use of technology to resolve their day-to-day life, leading to the possibility that technologies may corner the world by promising salvation through algorithms and genetics. Thus, people are likely to put more focus on various elements they have seen transpire in the reality as opposed to various actions around the world that are merely told as a story. The author suggests that increasing belief the people the power of technology to create a hook effect. Technology is being used to create a much superior human model. In this regard, human beings are like to lose the level of attention they may need to have as a related to the world around them. Therefore, human beings are around to place more attention on the general effect that technology is like to have, especially as it relates to the simplification of life by the reduced need to think. There are also the indication that different socio-economic realistic and daily routine are two different states of consciousness. Chapter 11 acknowledges the position and role the data currently hold in the life of people. It shows how this universe in the file with the data below and is tied to the general effect that data processing is like to have on various occurrences that take place around the world. This chapter also shows that data was brought out of the interaction between two scientific tidal waves, including the ideas postulated by Charles Darwin, as well as the one provided by Alan Turing. As discussed by Harari, the flow of any phenomenon or entity is determined by its contribution to data processing. In this regard, some people have some tension as stability means to which they can use data to attain some of from power over others. They also aim to obtain information about the specification action they are like to engage in as they attempt to create this a situation more they can available to one another. The author also states that data processing conditions change again in the 21st century. With such change, they are like to give rise to various solutions Certainly, problems as a striders are made toward solving already existence challenge such as over.